Private information belonging to Canadian taxpayers may soon be shared with dozens of countries, authorities around the world. It's all detailed in an inconspicuous section of the 2018 federal budget, and it has some critics crying foul. Claudiu Popa is joining me this morning. He's a security, privacy, and cyber fraud risk advisor and the president of Data Risk Canada. Good morning. Thanks for being with us. So what concerns you, or does anything concern you about the language around sharing this information? What does it mean?
There's a couple of concerns there. One is that it's not really a budget item. There isn't any money associated with it, yet there it is tucked in. And generally speaking, when you introduce things that look like you're asking for tacit endorsement or you're assuming that this is going to constitute informed consent, it tends to erode trust. But obviously, no one questions the motive. The motive is to participate in investigations and to catch fraudsters and to certainly identify terrorist funding and organized crime and so on. It's the way that it's being done that's obviously an issue. And so you get to the point where the problem clearly that is being articulated is that this type of activity has been taking place under veils of secrecy. And secrecy is a close term associated with confidentiality. Unfortunately, it touches upon people's privacy, and that's when it becomes a problem for many Canadians, is how do I protect my own privacy from being shared with countries like Russia and China?
So what is the information that these other countries potentially might have access to?
Well, tax information to begin with. So obviously it's financial details, it's location information, and certainly name and address. It's CRA type stuff. So generally speaking, we hear in the news that obviously it's a problem when China or Russia are hacking databases and they're accessing taxpayer information without authorization. But here we are saying that given the right context, the right investigation, it will be shared with or without the consent of taxpayers.
What could go wrong?
Well, this information, when disclosed, cannot be pulled back. So once you share information, it's out there, someone's making copies, even if they say, look, we're going to totally destroy this information. Well, information doesn't really travel from point to point. It travels from point to point to point to point to point where it gets copied, it gets replicated. And so loss of control over information, especially when it results in a situation where the person being investigated was not, in fact, doing anything wrong.
So as someone who specializes in security and privacy, how would you like to see this happen? How do you think it should be changed? Can it be changed?
Well, absolutely. I think it's all about accountability and enforcement. If this is being done properly, then we need to have transparency. We need to have a body that oversees this situation. And in fact, on an annual basis, at least the privacy commissioner needs to be briefed in detail about all of the cases in which taxpayer information was shared internationally.
Claudiu Popa, thanks again. Appreciate your time
You're
with
welcome.
us.